So, with that, let's dive into today's topic, which is self care versus self love. What is it, and how are they different, and what are they? So, for me, I define self love as the compassionate relationship that you have with yourself. That means knowing that your wants and needs matter, that you are your best and first priority, and that you are intrinsically valuable and worthy. So, your worth and value isn't rooted in what you do. That means you don't have to do anything, you don't have to perform, you don't have to provide, you don't have to produce, you don't have to be doing anything in order to be valuable and worthy. You are valuable and worthy just because you are. So you are enough as is. You don't have to fix, you don't have to perfect, you don't have to give, do, or provide or perform. So, self love is really having that loving, accepting, and compassionate relationship to yourself. I think of it as just being your own best friend, showing yourself love, acceptance, and compassion and grace that we show to people that we love in our lives, but giving that back to ourselves. Versus self care, which is the actual tools and practices and belief systems and habits that we use to implement our feeling of self love into our actual lives. So that might look like this: saying no, you don't want to do something simply because you don't want to do it without guilt. So you don't have to explain yourself, you don't have to apologize for yourself. You can say no just because you want to say no and have that be enough without feeling guilty, without feeling bad, without giving yourself a guilt trip or feeling like you're letting anybody down, because you're not. Showing up for yourself doesn't mean that you're letting other people down. I remember that when we talk about self-love and self-care, we don't mean, the negative connotation of like being selfish or egotistical or self-centered. It's none of that stuff. It's not putting yourself first at the detriment of others. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about honoring the unique and precious space that you take up in this world, and knowing that you are your first and best priority, and also knowing that your needs and wants matters, not to the detriment of other people's needs and wants, but that yours matter as well, and they're equally important. So we're not talking about hurting other people because you want to, or putting yourself in front of other people because you want to. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about just honoring your own unique space that you take up, honoring your wants and needs, being your own best friend, and making yourself your first and best priority in healthy ways. And so, what self-care and self-love may look like is, resting when you're tired, taking a break, being able to say, I've reached my limit, I need to take a break, I need to take a step back. It also looks like setting healthy boundaries with people. It's like, when you do X, Y, and Z, it makes me feel like this, so I would appreciate if we didn't do that. And if you can't respect and honor that, then maybe we can't be friends. Then maybe we have to break up. Then maybe I'm going to find a new job. So it's being able to, in a healthy way, set boundaries and standards with yourself and with others in all aspects of your life, whether it's your romantic relationships, your friendships, your family members, or at work. And again, the most important relationship, the one that you have with yourself. Self-love and self-care also looks like, this is my body, this is my temple. I'm going to get my rest, I'm going to drink my water, I'm going to move my body and exercise, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to journal, I'm going to take time for myself. It's okay to take intentional alone time, unplug from the family, unplug from your significant other, unplug from your friends. It is okay to unplug and to be on your own and to take care of yourself and to completely fill yourself up. I'm not saying that you have to be a recluse, and I'm not saying that you have to shut off relationships, but it's okay to take intentional time alone just to refill yourself. And so those are some ways that, self-love and self-care can really shift your life, so that way when you say no, you don't have the guilt. So when you're able to say no, that makes your yes so much more powerful, right? Because if you say yes to everything because you're so scared to say no, then your yes loses its meaning, not just to other people, but your yes loses its meaning to yourself. Because if you are saying yes to things and to people that you don't want to say yes to, what happens is you become resentful. You will start to resent that person for asking you to do all these things that you really don't want to do, you know, stretching you too far or not thinking about your wants and needs. When the truth is, it is up to you to communicate what your limitations are, what your wants and needs are, what your yes is and what your no is, and then to follow up by that by actually implementing that boundary or that standard or that yes or that no. Because you can say yes or no to someone, but it's up to you to follow through with that. You know, don't give in to the pressure of like, but please, I really want to, or all those things. It is really up to you to stand firm in your yes and to stand firm in your no. Say no without the guilt, say yes without the resentment. So those are just a few things that we cover over on my Patreon page, on the podcast, and also here on Instagram and on YouTube and wherever you find me on social media. So if you want to connect, feel free to shoot me an email at info@candywashington.com. Send me a DM to follow over on Instagram at Candy Washington.